how's everybody responded to that? You know, whether it was him coming back from that or the other guys kind of answering the challenge.
No, I think the guys come out every day. They compete against the standard. So, certainly the scrimmage was a snapshot of what people were able to see relative to camp and the quarterback's development, but it's just a small piece of it. So the guys, it hasn't really changed anything because we hold the guys to a standard. We expect them to come out and execute at a very high level. So from that standpoint, of one guy having a nice day, it really hasn't changed anything in their approach.
What do you feel like you learned from the scrimmage about this team, good or bad?
About the team?
Yeah.
I think it really, more than anything, just reinforced. We have a very strong culture. I think we have talent, we have depth. The kids compete, and like any fall camp, there's the best teams I've been around. There's always a give and take between the offense and the defense, and it changes by day, or changes by play, or changes by period. And then we've got a great culture. I think those are the things that the scrimmage reinforced for me.
What's the biggest thing you look for from going to week 1 into week 2 of like a fall camp like that?
Overall?
Yeah.
Just a continued development of the offensive unit relative to their understanding of the scheme, how hard they play, and the execution on the field. So you just want to see, for particularly the young guys, not just what they're doing, but how they're doing it, and then the older guys just taking it to a different level.
Do you see them kind of grasping more of that offense that you talked about, opening up the playbook a lot more, having that full off season? Do you see that kind of translating out there? Or?
Yeah, I mean, you're never going to tell them it's good enough, and they're never going to reach the standard that you set for them. But there is an improved level of execution. We just got to get better with our consistency.
You talked about what you saw to that scrimmage on Saturday and
Yep.
what you learned from it. But what about the players? And since the 4 practices since that time, have you seen anybody step up, in regards to how they played on Saturday versus how they want to play now?
No, and like I said, the scrimmage is a snapshot. We had a bunch of opportunities before that, and I think we, Coach pushes everybody to compete at a high level every day, and I think at least offensively speaking, it's you see a different guy step up every day, at a different position group. So that's a good thing to see, that it's not one guy consistently standing out. I think, like I said, we have a lot of depth and see a bunch of guys having their moments throughout the course of practice.
Is there a position group that's really stood out for you these last 2 weeks?
I'm sorry?
A position group that's really stood out these last 2 weeks?
And they've all had their moments. It's tough to say. I think the depth has stood out, and I think the experience of the older guys and the potential and talent of the young guys, I would say across the board, that's been a consistent thing.
How has Seven McGee's camp gone? I guess.
Seven?
Yeah.
I love that kid. He excited about football, appreciative to be here every day. Incredibly talented. Coach Master does a great job teaching him and developing. But I think he's very dynamic, very explosive, very fast. Does a great job catching the football. I think he's had a very good camp so far, and I think he's got an incredibly high ceiling. Great kid to be around too.
I was just gonna say, can he have a similar role like Kadai does, where he can be an option in the pass game and in the run game?
I think that's to be determined. Right now we're just teaching the offense and, like I said, knowing what to do and how to do it. But in terms of usage relative to a game, I think that's yet to be determined.
He's obviously very electric, but he's physical too. Like, is he kind of sneaky physical? I mean, you need to take that into account as well.
No, you look at him physically. He's packed in there, and you guys may not. He reminds me a lot of a kid I had at Fordham, Chase Evans, who's a starting tailback for the Cardinals now. Just physicality, mentality-wise, explosiveness. He's kind of built the same. I see a lot of similarities there.
Do you feel like him and Byron could throw him into a game, if need be, and like they can contribute a little bit? Or?
Yeah. So Onyx is barking over there.
Coach Shaw's got him going.
Yeah. Love that dog. I think it's probably it'd be a bit speculative at this point. From a talent standpoint, absolutely. But it's different when you're out there and the whistle blows and you can restart the play than when you're in there and there's no lifeguard on duty and you kind of gotta, there's no do-overs.
What's the progress you want to see in the second scrimmage that's coming up? What are you looking for?
It's I think we're very fortunate to be able to go against a defense of this caliber on a daily basis. Coach always uses the term, iron sharpens iron. So another opportunity to go against a great defense and to help push them to get better, and those guys challenge us. But I think we did we did well in the situational part of the scrimmage overall. Third down, red zone, 2 minute. I think we had in goal line. We had our good moments there. You know, in the drive part, we had 1 touchdown. And I mean, you guys would know. You know, I think 4 of the other drives were past the 35 and going in, and they were stopped because of, you know, there's a play count on the drive. So, you know, I'd like to do a little better in the scrimmage part of it, and I know those drives will be extended, and then kind of ramp up what we did situationally.
Joe, AB talked about there's a connection that you two have,
yeah,
even about, you know, around football, but beyond football, about being Northeast guys, being Jesuit school guys.
Yeah.
Just can you speak to just outside the football and outside of play, you know, design and those sorts of things? And
Yeah.
the relationship you have in the sport.
And I think that's one thing, in I guess it's year 23 or 24, I've always valued the relationships I've created with kids I've coached, and hear from everyone going back to Pitt as a GA, Akron, Georgetown, everywhere I've been. You know, I hear from kids, and you know, like I said, have a lot of similarities. Catholic school, high schools, you know, Jesuit colleges, you know, a lot of the same interests. You know a lot of the same people. But Anthony's he's a great kid. You know, first and foremost, take the football part out of it. You know, so you know, we have a good relationship.
Sorry, you've been asked about it before, I'm sure you were, but running backs, just what have you seen from the freshmen in particular, 7 and Byron?
A ton of depth overall. You know, Coach Master does an unbelievable job, you know, with the older guys. Good to see Trey get back in the fold. But it's like a neat little, you know, 1-2 punch with Byron and 7. You know, I mean, they're a little bit different style of runner, bring a little bit different to the table. But there's a lot of very high ceiling there, and excited about those guys' potential.
What have you seen from your freshman receivers this year that might make you think they're a little bit more advanced or a little bit more ahead of schedule than other freshmen you've seen before?
I think with Dante and Troy, it's the fact that they've been here, you know, since January. So they've had, you know, 15 opportunities the whole spring, and you know, both those guys are doing a nice job of making plays. And Isaiah's come in, you know, with the rest of the other freshmen, and he's actually, you know, we're gonna get him up to speed on knowing, you know, what to do. But he's you know, talked to Coach BMAC, who's done a phenomenal job with those young guys. Isaiah's made a lot of plays and caught a lot of touchdowns in camp. So I think, you know, between the 3 of those guys, it's an impressive as a you know, true freshman recruiting class that I've been around in a long time.
For Isaiah, you mentioned him, and again, the 2 freshman running backs since they arrived in the summer. You've been around where obviously a lot of guys show up in the summer as opposed to mid-year, but in the first scrimmage, you get them opportunities to see if they validate, you know, get more. It seemed like those 3, I mean, you tell me, but it seemed like those 3 made those plays like you talk about and validate that they could do more.
Yeah, and that's, you know, it's as we continue through the installation process, which we finished up on Monday, and I think you were talking to one of the other guys. It transitions from them knowing what to do to how to do it, and I think you see those guys with a lot of natural ability. They're obviously very well coached, and now it's about them taking the next step in the process and kind of just refining everything. But definitely 4 playmakers.
Having the second year,
5.
Last question.
Having the second year around Johnny Johnson, just his growth, his development. What have you seen so far from him in
Johnny,
camp?
he's a consummate leader. He's a phenomenal teammate. He's an incredibly hard worker. He's a talented player, and you know, I don't know. You know, he's a guy that whether or not he's elected, that guy to me is like captain material. So he's everything that guy does on and off the field is to me what the term student athlete, you know, at the NCAA level should stand for.